A pirate ship was usually stolen before it was made pirate. In November 1717, Blackbeard's two sloops caught the French slave ship La Concorde near Martinique. 16 French crewmen were dead, 36 more seriously ill, and 2 pirate volleys ended resistance. Blackbeard renamed the prize Queen Anne's Revenge, enlarged its battery, and used it for only about 7 months. That short conversion overturns the movie design. Piracy required an existing hull, rig, stores, specialists, and ports, not a special class of ship. It also creates 2 promises. We'll see why authority could shift away from the captain after combat, and why Blackbeard later blockaded a city for medicine rather than gold. First, go below the flag, where ordinary stone kept the entire threat upright. This is how a pirate ship actually worked. More guns could make a pirate flagship less capable. Queen Anne's Revenge was a 3-masted vessel recorded at different times between 200 and 300 tons. Masts and cannon raised weight above the waterline. Ballast stones placed low in the hull resisted rolling and kept the ship controllable. Archaeologists recovered those unglamorous stones from the wreck. Crews could add, remove, or shift ballast as water, provisions, cargo, anchors, and ordnance changed the load. Spare cannon might add stabilizing weight, but every pound also deepened draft and slowed response. That trade-off explains the usual pirate preference for smaller, quicker craft, and Blackbeard's choice to support one heavy flagship with sloops. The hull carried the threat. The next system had to turn wind into speed before extra weight turned power into a trap. A fast ship was a really synchronized crew. Annalise Dempsey reconstructed Queen Anne's Revenge's rig from recovered deadeyes, chain plates, rope, sailcloth, and fittings. The evidence lands in a transition. Older sprit topmast arrangements were giving way to jib booms and triangular headsails, while this ship's bower egg remains unresolved. That uncertainty matters because every turn demanded a precise sequence. Sailors hauled braces and sheets, eased one line while tightening another, then secured the load before canvas flogged itself apart. Tiny surviving sail fragments use a dense half-basket weave suited to heavy cloth. No hull produced speed by itself. Disciplined hands converted wind into motion, and one missed order could waste the advantage. But canvas could not reveal what waited below the surface. For that, the crew needed a tool designed to disappear into the sea. One of the ship's most useful tools was meant to be thrown overboard. The Queen Anne's Revenge wreck yielded a 21-pound sounding lead marked 21. Lowered on a line, it measured depth. A hollow in its base could collect sand, shell, or mud and identify the seabed. Conservators also recovered chart dividers and a brass sector carrying English and French inch scales. Dividers transferred distances while the sector handled proportional calculations. None of them selected a safe channel. Near incomplete charts, a pilot's knowledge of tides, bars, currents, and landmarks could outweigh another cannon. Remember that lead. It will return at Beaufort Inlet, where depth became the final limit of the whole machine. First, meet the people pirates could force aboard but could not replace with courage, numbers, or weapons. Pirates could seize a ship in minutes. They could not improvise every skill aboard. French records say 10 La Concorde crewmen were retained against their will, among them a pilot, 3 surgeons, 2 carpenters, 2 sailors, and a cook. Other records preserve additional specialist categories, showing why headcounts remain difficult. Carpenters protected hull and spars. Gunners kept powder and carriages usable. Cooks stretched provisions. Surgeons confronted wounds and disease. Everyone else stood watches, hauled lines, pumped water, cleaned decks, and handled weapons. Some men joined voluntarily, others served under direct coercion, and the archive rarely preserves their choices in their own words. This was not simply a brotherhood of willing outlaws. It was a skilled workforce held together by opportunity, pressure, and threat. Its first shared enemy was already entering through the hull. The ocean did not need a battle to enter a wooden ship. Water collected in the bilge and pumps lifted it overboard. A strainer recovered from Queen Anne's Revenge kept debris from choking that system. Pump water could wash decks or fight fire, giving one mechanism several jobs. When seams opened far from a yard, perfection was impossible. Archaeologists found perforated lead strips used as internal patches, plus pine sheathing that protected oak from worms and abrasion. A compact mechanical jack could lift or pry heavy material, though its exact shipboard jobs are uncertain. The vessel survived through repairs stacked upon repairs, not invincible construction. Keeping seawater out solved only one problem. Below deck, drinkable water and edible food were failing in the opposite direction. Below deck, survival ran through barrels, and every barrel could fail. Age of sail provisions favored salted meat, fish, cheese, and hard biscuit because fresh food vanished quickly. Bones from Queen Anne's Revenge include cattle, pigs, fish, birds, and rats. Small butchered portions may fit stew, soup, or seasoning, but archaeology cannot recover a daily menu. Water casks could sour, leak, or run short while vermin reached the same stores. Sanitation also exposed rank. A tapered lead tube near the stern may belong to an officer's private facility, although wreck movement prevents certainty. Ordinary crew facilities were generally forward, exposed to wind and spray. Crowding, wet clothing, poor ventilation, and disease made rest fragile. These conditions forced the political question the machinery cannot answer. Who controlled portions, discipline, and risk once battle ended? On some pirate ships, the captain's widest power switched on for battle and narrowed afterward. Here, the vessel becomes a temporary political machine. The 1724 General History reports that Bartholomew Roberts' crew voted on major affairs and chose a quartermaster with broad authority outside combat. Accounts linked to George Lowther and John Phillips preserve different articles. No single pirate constitution existed. Rules varied by crew, voyage, and source reliability. The book is near contemporary but sensationalized, so its details require corroboration. Still, a practical pattern appears. Councils or elected officers could constrain captains when the chase was over. Consent reduced friction among armed workers who might desert, depose a leader, or divide the company. The next clauses made that consent measurable through shares, premiums, and the price of a ruined body. A lost limb could be priced before the voyage began. Articles attributed to John Phillips' crew gave the captain 1.5 shares, while the master, carpenter, boatswain, and gunner received 1 1/4. They promised 400 pieces of 8 for losing a limb. Lowther's reported articles used different shares and listed £150 for a major injury. These were crew-specific schedules, not an Atlantic standard, yet the mechanism is clear. Specialists earned premiums because the ship failed without them. Compensation recognized that a blast, splinter, or falling spar could end the sailor's livelihood. Loot had to be declared, guarded, and divided, strengthening the quartermaster's position. This was calculated self-interest, not modern equality. Fractions mattered only if stolen cargo became food, powder, medicine, and cash ashore. Blackbeard blockaded Charlestown for medicine, not gold. In May 1718, his flotilla stopped vessels outside the harbor and demanded a medicine chest. Trial evidence valued it in the hundreds of pounds. Disease and depleted stores could redirect strategy as powerfully as cannon. No pirate ship was self-sufficient. It needed water, food, timber, canvas, powder, intelligence, buyers, and officials willing to look away. Nassau supplied that ecosystem until Woodes Rogers arrived as royal governor in July 1718 with pardons and orders to suppress piracy. Merchants and fences turned prizes into supplies, blurring outlaw ships and legal commerce. Enforcement attacks shore connections as well as captains. But the Atlantic network that provisioned piracy carried a deeper system inside its vessels, routes, and profits. The slave trade that had built Blackbeard's flagship. Before Queen Anne's Revenge became a pirate flagship, La Concorde transported 516 captive Africans from Whydah. 61 died during the Atlantic crossing. 455 remained when Blackbeard captured the ship. What happened next is preserved unevenly. A later project account says captives were sold through Grenada and Martinique, while an older reconstruction says 157 were taken with the pirates. The conflict cannot be cleaned into one convenient answer. It exposes an archive produced by enslavers, captors, officials, and insurers, with little testimony from the people confined aboard. Low between-decks clearance and slaving modifications had turned the vessel into machinery for human trafficking before piracy repurposed it. White Galley followed a related path from slave ship to Samuel Bellamy's Flagship. Pirate crews could include free, coerced, and enslaved people. That complexity never erased the system they exploited. A pirate cannon's most profitable result was surrender before boarding. Archaeologists have identified at least 25 guns at the Queen Anne's Revenge site, including English and Swedish pieces. Lighter 3- and 6-pounder guns suited crowded decks because they demanded less space, crew, and recoil control. Some remained loaded. Wooden tompions sealed muzzles. Lead aprons protected touch holes from moisture. That readiness made a broadside credible when firing might damage the prize, cargo, and people needed to sail it. 2 pirate volleys helped end La Concorde's resistance, but more guns also meant more weight, powder, and draft near shoals. The battery was weapon and negotiation. Cannon opened the decision. Boarders had to capture a functioning workplace before morale recovered. One documented seizure shows how 12 men overcame a ship with 16 guns. 12 men in a boat helped take a ship carrying 16 guns. In 1719, slave trading captain William Snellgrave anchored Bird Galley at Sierra Leone. After dark, pirates approached under a friendly identity, close to distance, and fired small arms. Snellgrave said he had 45 men, but his crew refused to resist. The attackers climbed aboard, and their quartermaster directed the seizure. His 1734 account is self-defending and written years later, so it cannot be treated as a neutral camera. Its mechanism is still revealing. Deception defeated distance, and morale defeated armament. Once in control, pirates restrained people, searched cargo, questioned specialists, and decided whether to strip, release, burn, or convert the prize. A prize crew could move intact capacity away. Capturing the workplace created the next problem. Every added hull demanded repair. To make a fast ship fast again, pirates sometimes made it helpless. Careening meant unloading weight, hauling a smaller vessel onto one side in sheltered water, scraping growth, repairing seams, coating the bottom, then reversing the process. Guns, stores, and people sat ashore while the exposed hull could neither fight nor flee. A general history reports Howell Davis cleaning his sloop at Coxon's Hole, Cuba, and struggling without carpenter. The source may dramatize events, but the maintenance problem is real. Davis valued a light pair of heels because speed served capture and escape. Queen Anne's Revenge carried replaceable outer pine planking, yet its deeper hull demanded more labor and safer water than a sloop. Maintenance restored performance by creating vulnerability. Blackbeard's final approach compressed that trade-off into one shallow inlet. Queen Anne's Revenge grounded at Beaufort Inlet in June 1718. David Harriot later alleged that Blackbeard wrecked it deliberately to reduce his company. Naval officer Ellis Brand reported that it stuck and was lost. Neither source settles intent. The wreck reconnects every system. The sounding lead recalls the search for depth. Ballast and cannon expose the trade between stability, intimidation, and draft. Pumps, lead patches, rigging, food bones, medical tools, and a possible toilet restore labor beneath the flag. Discovered in 1996, the site reveals no ingenious pirate design. It reveals a captured Atlantic workplace, powered by coerced expertise, negotiated authority, ports, maintenance, and violence until one shallow passage broke the chain. That is how a pirate ship actually worked. Watch the next documentary to see how archaeology separates real pirate wrecks from legends.